I am Irma Laxamana. I'm currently the Chief Legal Officer at Cloudera, which is a software and technology company. I am essentially their general counsel. And so I have a team of attorneys that I work with, and we support all the legal needs across all the different parts, and have been in-house like this inside of a software company for most of my career. I spent a couple of years at a law firm when I just got out of law school, and then went in-house into software and technology, and have been there ever since, but at a couple of companies along the way on my way to where I am now at Cloudera.
And to kind of get like a better understanding of your job right now, could you describe what you do on a day-to-day basis?
It's a sort of general counsel role. So I lead the full legal team at the company. And between all of us, we support everything at the company that requires legal support or legal guidance, which makes it a really interesting job. But I don't do it alone. I have a great team of attorneys and legal professionals who help in all the various different areas. So when I think about all the things at a high level, at least, that we handle, right, we have one team of attorneys and contracts managers and other legal professionals who really look after our commercial contracts negotiations. And that's both with customers and partners, so the kinds of deals that bring sales and revenue into the company, but also on the procurement side, right? So any solutions or services or technology that the company needs to run its business on the procurement side. And then I have another team who helps us look after things from a corporate governance perspective, right? Corporate compliance. What are we doing, Cloudera, as a company, to properly comply with all the laws, the regulations that apply to corporations like us, right? And I have an attorney, actually two attorneys, who help look after support for our products and engineering teams, right? So there are, compliance issues, right? Software licensing issues. And so they really are the primary support for our technology products and engineering teams. We have someone that helps look after our marketing work, right? So if you think of marketing and advertising, there's legal work to support what they want to do there. And that's another area. And then sort of two other groups, our HR and employment team. They work with everything that relates to our people at Cloudera. And then one other main area is we have an attorney who's sort of our lead on the privacy and data protection front, which, as you can imagine now, especially in the especially cloud-driven software field, right? Privacy and data protection is a huge topic across the industry. And so we have a lawyer who specializes in that. So across these teams at any given time, there's, a ton of activity, and I manage and supervise all of these teams. And again, I'm lucky to have a super smart team that really run with things. I think one of the fun things is that each day is different for me. It's never the same. And, I could be working with a couple or any number of these different teams on issues that come up over the course of a day. So keeps me on my toes. It's super interesting. Always something different.
If you had to choose, what do you think your favorite parts of your job would be?
I think, I'd say the reason why I think I stay in-house at technology companies is because, software and technology, it's an industry in a space that's constantly changing, right? Technology never stays the same. It's always evolving. And related to that, the things that we do as lawyers in a number of areas is also constantly evolving, right? So I like that nature of it, right? That I'm always learning something new as legal frameworks change, right? Or regulatory frameworks change, let's say around like privacy and data protection, right? As an example, right? So I like that. I like that, it's not static. Things are evolving, and that means there's always something new and challenging. I'd say I spent a lot of the earlier part of my career in-house actually on the commercial and contracts negotiation side of things. And I really enjoyed that. So, that dynamic of working to sort of get the best terms, for the company that I could get, working with the other side, sometimes, in challenging negotiations, but it was always nice, right? Even though you're sort of coming at it from different perspectives and advocating for different things, to be able to land at compromise that worked, for both sides. I really enjoyed kind of the dynamic of negotiation.
Yeah, no, that's definitely very relevant to think about. Kind of on the same note too, what would you say that your like greatest career strength, or if there's like an achievement that you're most proud of throughout your career?
I hope what one of my strengths are what I have sort of strived, right, to do is just building really great relationships with people that, I work with across different functions of the company and across different levels of management at the company. I think, I hope I do well at it. It's something that I really enjoy doing. And I think it's something important for everyone to do, is build those strong relationships. And I have felt really fortunate throughout my career to, have had the opportunity to work with really great people. And those relationships, I think they really help me do my job better. And again, I think that's something that's valuable, no matter what, profession or field you go into.
Yeah, of course. It's a really important part of any job. So kind of to get more of a background on your career, was there like a particular moment or time in your life that really sparked your interest in law?
My mom would say that, from the time I was in elementary school, that she probably thought I'd go into the legal field. I always enjoyed, reading and debating things, right? And looking at things from different angles. And I think I was just sort of naturally curious that way. As I made it through, as I was in high school, then I, joined the forensics team at high school. So I did join debate, and I joined like the oral advocacy teams, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed words, right? I enjoyed taking things from concept to words and advocating for things through words. And so that sort of naturally led, I think, to a curiosity about the legal field. And coming out of high school, I knew that I was going to be sort of on the law school track. So for undergrad, I went to UC Berkeley in the Bay Area, and they had at the time, what was a unique program. It was you could major in legal studies, and the undergraduate major in the legal studies program was run and largely taught by professors at the law school at Berkeley, at Bolt. And so I thought, I'm from the Bay Area, and I knew, once I had gotten into Berkeley, that's where I wanted to go. So it was this really nice and unique opportunity at the undergraduate level to get exposure to what the professors at the law school, how they taught and how they thought about things. And so, that worked out. It continued my interest. And from, Berkeley, then I went to law school at the University of Washington in Seattle, and enjoyed that. I think at first I thought, and I think a lot of people think this initially, is it's because it's the more visible side of the career, is sort of the litigation area, right? Like you go to court, right? And you go to trial and you advocate for things. And initially for me, I thought that's where I was leaning as well. I went out of law school to work at a law firm, and I was in their securities litigation team. As your first, second year out of law school, you're really sort of in the background doing a lot of the paperwork, like kind of doing a lot of the review for the more senior attorneys. But this was also at a time where there was a big sort of tech boom, right? And there were a lot of opportunities for young lawyers to go in-house instead of work at a law firm, to go in-house at technology companies primarily. And so I had an opportunity to do that, to go work at a small startup as one of their younger attorneys. And I did that. And I caught this, I caught this bug, this passion for working in technology, but on the legal side of it. It was kind of this neat combination of taking, my interest in law and legal skills that I had, but applying it in this really dynamic, software technology space. And then I've been in technology ever since. So it's been a fun and interesting journey. If you'd asked me when I was in law school, if this is where I would have seen myself, I don't think necessarily this is what I would have said. I might have thought of myself as going down the litigation path, but ultimately, I think this is where I was meant to be. It's what keeps me motivated. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. You could combine your interests and what you really like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, were there any steps that you took that you think were particularly important to getting you where you are now?
So one, I think, and this goes back a little bit to what I just said. It's, I was at the law firm for a couple of years doing securities litigation. But I was still very open, right, to what other fields of law, what other professional paths might be out there that interested me. And so I think, that opportunity to go in-house and work as an in-house attorney for a technology company, I think that was a really eye-opening step for me, right? It opened up another way of practicing law that, as I said, I probably wouldn't have imagined as the sort of primary career path for me. But once I tried it, once I felt sort of that dynamic, what it was like to work in-house at a company, it turned out to be the right thing for me. So I'm glad I sort of kept, even early on in my career, sort of kept my options open and, was open and willing sort of try, alternate different career paths in the legal field. I think what also was key was, and this rings back to something I said earlier too, which is building those connections as you're going through different steps in your career, right? Building those connections, whether it's with your direct manager or with other peers and colleagues on your team, or with other colleagues in other functions outside of legal, right? Those are all opportunities to learn from one another. And that was also key and really important, I think, as I went from, role to role and also company to company. I think the longer you've been in the field, and this is certainly true in technology, you work with people, you come to like, you come to respect, you admire their work, and you all remember each other, right? And when you move from opportunity to opportunity, you keep each other in mind, or you share with each other experiences that you're going through that could be helpful to one another. And so I think networking and building those relationships throughout different steps of my career was key to helping me sort of progress, right, and build on my career path.
Yeah, networking and keeping an open mind is definitely so important.
Yeah.
Do you have any other final words of inspiration or advice for younger people, and especially women too, that are looking to work in law just like you?
I think first, I think it's a combination of what we've been talking about and what you just said there, right? Be open to all the different areas of law that might spark your interest, especially if you're early on in your journey. Even just talking through the different things that everyone on my team does, you could hear there's so many available options to us, right? Things that can spark our interest, can challenge us, can motivate us. And then, and find that motivation, right? Try different things and find what really drives you, what motivates you, because it's also a hard job, right? And it's challenging, and it requires a lot of work and time and dedication. And if you're going to spend that much time and energy on something, you want it to be something that really motivates you, right? So be open to, all the different paths that you can take, within the legal field, and find what really sparks that interest and motivation in you, because that's what's going to drive you and sustain you and keep you happy in your work, right? And then we also talked about networking, right? Meeting people, building those relationships, talking with others who can share stories. I mean, what you're doing here is fantastic, right? That you're reaching out to women in the profession and allowing us to share our stories and asking us questions about it. I mean, I think that's exactly, part of the advice that I would give is to network and then find mentors, right? As you sort of move up in your educational sort of path and through your career, find mentors that will be there to listen to you, provide bits of advice based on their expertise and experience. There's always something that we can learn from one another. And so having a mentor who's kind of there with you as you're going through the steps of your career is super helpful and valuable, and something that's been key for me. I mean, my mentor is someone who was one of my first managers, and this is someone I continue to go back to, and ask questions of, and it's a journey, right? Like the progression through your career, and just to know that you have someone there who you trust, and who you can go to and who can share experiences that are relevant to what you're doing is really valuable, and it has been that for me. So and then just have confidence in yourself, right? If you choose, to go down a path that you feel motivated and passionate about, have confidence in yourself, right? That you're choosing the path that's right for you, that you're going to do the hard work, but that you're up for the challenge, right? It's there's so many options and roads and paths to take that I think there's something that's right for everyone who's interested in the legal field. And once you find that, just stay motivated, and have confidence in your path.